May 14th, 6:20 in the morning. This is Tech Tales 11. I wanted to introduce a subject that's probably going to be in my updates for maybe weeks, might just be days. I have a client who's considering changing banks, and that if they do that, that's going to generate a fair amount of work for me. And that might seem strange to you. How does a computer consultant get work when a business changes banks? Well, in order to protect identity, I'm going to be a little bit ambiguous in some of the details, but I'm going to try to paint a picture as clear as I can. This client is a large institution. I think they're probably international. I do work for a local office in Fresno for them. Even their presence in Fresno is pretty large and pretty well known. They're well known amongst Fresno society, I suppose I might say. They are a nonprofit organization, and part of what they do is they administer funds for people who receive government support. Now, most of their clientele who are receiving the government support, I don't know all the details about how a person becomes a client of theirs, but I suspect that it might be court ordered or somehow that they've been deemed to not be able to manage their own money. So what happens is wherever the individual's funds are coming from, they come to this institution and in trust, essentially, for that person. And then this company, my client, doles out the money to them and actually sends payments to their service providers, so that the individuals themselves, I think in most cases, probably aren't paying many of their bills, handling the money themselves. So I've been working with them for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, something like that. They were referred to me by another client of mine who's a CPA. I don't think I've spoken to you yet about their office. Actually, maybe I did. I think I talked to you about updating their QuickBooks for the entire office. So this client uses QuickBooks to manage those funds, and they only use QuickBooks for deposits into their bank account and writing checks and reconciling the bank statements. They don't actually operate their business off of QuickBooks. So there's no profit and loss statement or balance sheet that they care about. When I first got involved with this office, I'll refer to them as CC, okay, the company that's managing the funds for these large clientele of individuals. We'll call them CC. My contact person there is Andrea. When I first got involved with them, they had 3 of their staff members 2 or 3 times a month manually entering all of the deposits for each individual into QuickBooks so that they could then disperse the money. And this all had to be done on the deposit day. And it was a big deal. They would start like 6 a.m. in the morning, and they would be on that task about 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning for 3 of them. My charge was to automate the process. So I now have the process automated to the extent that 1 or 2 of their people, I think they usually use 2 of their people, start that process maybe around 7 a.m. in the morning. One of their people, I think, still comes in at 6 a.m. just because she's an early riser. but it takes about an hour, maybe less. I think many times they're done in half an hour with all of that processing. So what happened is I designed, they get the way it works is on the deposit day, they go to their bank's website and download a PDF file. That's an Adobe Acrobat document. And I have a software on their computer that they just double click an icon on their desktop and it extracts the information from over 200 pages on this Adobe Acrobat document. Each page represents the deposit for a different individual. It extracts the information and puts it into a form that can be imported into Excel. So their staff people, the next step they do is they open Excel and they run a macro. They click on a macro within Excel. That macro imports that information, and then several different tabs of rather complicated formulas massages that data to get it into a form that can be exported to a QuickBooks IIF file. We have an add-in product, a third-party add-in product in Excel that they choose that from a menu option, and it exports the information and creates an IIF file. I'm going to have you wait for just a moment. I'm going to go close that window because we got some landscaping crew outside making a lot of noise. Hang on just a moment. So once that IIF file is created, they then go into QuickBooks and go into the File, Utility, and Import, and they make a selection to import an IIF file. QuickBooks has the capability of importing IIF files for lots of different types of information that you might be managing in QuickBooks. What we're importing is deposit records. So they do this import command, and then a screen opens up within QuickBooks. It's a deposit screen, and it shows each individual and their deposit. So this consideration of moving to a new bank, I'm not sure what inspired that on their part, but this bank is a smaller bank than what they're coming from. It's a local bank, and they refer to themselves as being more versatile and flexible. And what they are proposing to do is to come up with a way to streamline this process and make it even simpler. I've had email exchanges with them, and yesterday afternoon, just right close to 5 o'clock, their technical person called me and we discussed the project a little bit, and we made tentative plans for me to go in to see him at his office on this Friday and give him a little demonstration about how this operates and how things get imported into QuickBooks. He has a little bit of awareness of QuickBooks. His name is Michael, but he didn't know anything about IIF. So because of our email exchanges and another prior phone call yesterday, he was exploring how that's done, and he was educated on that, or he didn't know previously about QuickBooks' capability of importing information into QuickBooks from other sources. So we're planning that I will show him a little bit about how the process works. He doesn't need to know a lot about it. What he needs to know is at what stage can he provide the information from their bank that will simplify this whole process. And a couple times he referred to that he thought that he could make this simpler for me. And I clarified to him, no, you're not going to make it simpler for me. You're going to create more work for me because I'll do this transition. But the result of this is probably going to make it simpler for them on processing day, because right now it's rather difficult to train a new staff member to do this process, because it has several pieces where the staff member at CC has to click on something or do something, and there is a little bit of a learning curve to it, even with all the automation that I've put into place. So I think it will be very beneficial for CC. I just need to clarify to him, I'm not involved in this process. The only time I ever get involved in this process is when their current bank changes their PDF file and I need to rework it somehow. So I anticipate that I'm probably going to be giving update reports, and I just wanted to do this update today on Tech Tales 11, just solely focused on introducing this subject. So that'll do it for now. Have a great day. Bye.